Would you like a slice of Battenberg, Your Majesty?
That does not look like a classic Battenberg. First Harry gets engaged to an American, and now this? What is this world coming to?
Hi everyone, I'm Karen Ahmed and welcome to a very Cravings Christmas. I really love a good Black Forest cake, but I also love the Battenbergs. This Christmas, I've combined the two to make a delicious Black Forest Battenberg cake. Now, if you remember in the spring, I made a traditional Battenberg and I made this for my friend Ruby's baby shower. Now, this was so classic. It had almond sponge, apricot jam, and it was encased in marzipan. It was absolutely delicious, but this time I thought I was just going to twist it up using the flavors of cherry and chocolate, which are the prominent flavors of a Black Forest cake. I know you're dying to know how to make this. Before I go any further, please do make sure that you're subscribed to my channel. I upload new videos every week, and also ring the bell. That's YouTube's new bell icon. That will notify you every time I upload a new video. Now let's get baking. The sponge cake for this Battenberg starts with the simplest of ingredients: eggs, butter, sugar, flour, baking powder, vanilla essence, and almond meal. I'm going to start with 175 grams of room temperature or soft butter. Beat this till the butter is really soft and fluffy. Scrape the butter off the blades if required. In England, they use caster sugar to get a really nice light sponge. I'm using 175 grams of superfine sugar as I wasn't able to find caster sugar here in Canada. Let that sugar work the butter till it's nice and creamy. Now let me just scrape all of the butter that's settled at the bottom of the bowl. Next, I'm going to crack in 3 room temperature eggs, one at a time. It's important not to use your eggs straight out of the fridge, as the chill from the eggs will seize up the butter. Next, I'm going to add 175 grams of pre-sifted self-raising flour, and I'm going to add this in a tablespoon at a time. Add 1 teaspoon of vanilla bean paste or vanilla extract, together with 1 teaspoon of baking powder and 2 tablespoons of almond meal. And I'm going to beat this to form a batter. I don't want to waste any of this batter, so I'm just going to scrape everything off the blades and divide this equally into 2 bowls using a large ice cream scoop. You don't have to do this. I just like to be as exact as possible. I want one sponge to be pink and the other to be chocolate brown. To one bowl, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of cocoa powder and I'm going to mix this in. Be sure to mix it properly so you have no natural streaks in the batter. To the other half, I'm going to use a tiny bit of pink food coloring and I'm going to mix that in as well. Special Battenberg pans are available, but I prefer to use this 18 by 18 centimeter square pan. I'm just going to butter this or grease it just so the parchment paper is nice and snug. I've made myself a little cardboard divider and I've covered this with foil to protect it. Place it in the middle, and I now want to cover this with parchment paper. I've cut a long strip of parchment paper to fit one side, and the other needs to cover the middle divider, as well as I need enough on the 2 ends to be able to lift the cakes out of the pan safely. Trim this till it's a perfect fit, and then I'm just going to insert the parchment paper. I like to use a clip to hold it securely, and then I'm going to very carefully fill up the 2 sides with the 2 colors. I'm going to stick this in my preheated oven at 350 degrees to bake undisturbed for about 35 minutes. Once baked, I'm going to remove this and I'm going to leave it aside to cool. I'm really happy with how they've baked. While the cakes cool, I will work on the marzipan. In my food processor, I'm going to add 200 grams, that's about 7 ounces of powdered almonds, and 400 grams, that's roughly about 14 ounces of icing sugar. I'm just going to give this a quick process. Now this is going to help smooth out the ground almonds, and that icing sugar just absorbs all of the excess oil. Next, I'm going to add 2 egg whites and half a teaspoon of almond food essence. Process this again. The moisture from the egg whites, the natural oils from the almond, and the essence should be enough to form a dough. Remove this and knead it slightly. Because there are raw eggs in this, we want to make sure to cook it. Cover this with cling film, and I like to zap this in the microwave for no more than 10 seconds at a time, and I'm going to do this about 3 to 4 times. We want the dough to be warm enough for the eggs to have cooked. Do not overcook this, as the texture from the overcooked egg will make the marzipan crumble. It's also a great idea to make this marzipan fresh when you need it, as it has the best texture before it starts to dry out. The cakes are now cool, and I'm going to very carefully remove them and transport them to my board. They look like they've risen about the same, but I'm still going to trim them to be perfect. Using my ruler, I'm going to cut and trim each color. I love these end scraps, as the sponge cake, even without the icing, is delicious. I'm also just going to do a dry test run just to make sure this looks okay. Now that my building blocks are ready, I'm going to use some mortar to help stick it together. Instead of using apricot jam that's used in a traditional Battenberg, I'm going to use a cherry jam. I'm going to lay it on a kitchen towel, the parchment paper, and the marzipan, and I'm going to roll this till I get a nice long rectangle. Plug up the spaces where you need a bit more coverage. I'm going to use one of the cake pieces to measure and trim off the excess. I'm going to add this to the other side and roll it out so I get one long rectangle that will cover all sides of the cake. Once you roll it, it's pretty seamless. Once rolled, I'm going to trim it again, as I don't want to be left with more marzipan than I need. Using the cherry jam, I'm going to coat the inside of the marzipan to lay the first block of cake. Coat the inside surface with the jam. Now there's a tiny bit of cake that had broken up, so I'm just going to plug it with jam and add another piece of cake. Add more jam and spread on one side of the chocolate cake to stick them together. Now I'm going to add the jam to the top of the 2 blocks, and I'm going to add the final 2 pieces of cake in alternating colors. I'm going to go ahead and fix another part that broke off earlier as well. Make sure to add jam on all sides so all of the blocks stick together. I've used about a half cup of jam, and I'm going to add more jam to the marzipan, and then I'm going to trim all of the marzipan and fold it over to cover. Using the parchment paper, I'm going to wrap it and hold it there for a while so the cake maintains its shape. Now normally you'd be ready to serve your Battenberg, but it's Christmas, people, and we want to make this extra special. I have some dark chocolate that I picked up at Trader Joe's recently. I will throw that link to that video at the end of this video as well as in the description so you can see all of the other goodies that I picked up as well. I'm going to melt about 100 grams, that's about 3.5 ounces in the microwave, and I'm going to cover two sides with a palette or a butter knife. If you're patient, you can just stick a fan on it so the two sides have a chance to harden, but I'm not, so I'm going to stick this in the fridge. And when the chocolate has set, I'm going to bring it out and cover the other two sides. Stick it back in the fridge and allow the chocolate to completely set. When it has set, you're ready to cut into it and enjoy. This is truly fit for a king. Thank you so much for joining me on Kravings Food Adventures. I really hope you enjoyed this delicious Black Forest Battenberg cake. It truly is fit for a king. Do make sure you subscribe to my channel, guys. I upload new videos every week. I also really hope to hit 20,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so please help me get there. Also, ring the bell, that's YouTube's new bell icon that will notify you every time I upload a new video. And follow me on all of my social channels. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, and even Snapchat. Till I see you next time, take care, guys. Bye.
What is this world coming to?